This is 26A for Algebra 2, and I'm simply going to do numbers 1 through 3. And we are going to do the other problems next week. But right here, notice these are both to the first power, and you're multiplying them out together. So I know this is a hyperbola, and honestly, you try to get the y by itself. So notice you got x times y, so I'm going to divide both sides by x. So I'm going to get y equals 8 over x. And I already started this one real quick. Who knows what this is right here in the book? But plug in different values for x. So here you can see I plugged in a 2, and out comes a 4. Okay, if you plug in a 4, 8 divided by 4 is 2. You can't plug in a 0. Okay, try it in your calculator. If you try to take 8 divided by 0, you would get a big error. You can never divide by 0. Okay, so here I've just plugged in some different values, and you can see the outcomes. And when you plot them, you get something that looks like this. Okay, on this side, it's going to get closer and closer and closer to the y-axis, but it will never touch it, and it's shooting off to infinity. Okay, on this side, it's getting closer and closer to the x-axis, but it will never touch it. Okay, so it looks a lot like that. Now, that is only half of it, because notice if I plugged in a -2, out would pop a -4, because a positive divided by a negative is negative. So you're going to need to graph all of these now. So they're all exactly the same, except the signs change. So if I do that, it's going to be like a little reflection over here. So here's -2, -4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you don't have to plot a lot of points once you kind of see what they're looking like. I would plot at least 3, 4 points maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, -2. There's -1, -8. I think that's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Okay, and you can see if I'd plug in -1/2, it's all the way down to 16. But again, and I'm looking through my phone, so this could be scary. But you're just going to have something that looks like this. Missed my little dot there. Nice smooth curve. This is not an L. Okay, so it looks just like that. This one is going to be done just like that. Get the y by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is move my 12 over. Then divide both sides by x. So you're going to get y equals 12 over x. Okay, all of these are going to look the same way. They're just going to be this little reflection right here. One in the first quadrant, one in the third quadrant. You can't plug in 0, so just plug in a couple points. You know, obviously if you plug in 12, 12 over 12 is 1. You're going to have to kind of estimate where that's at. If you plug in 6, out pops 2. If you plug in 4, out comes 3. Plug in 3, out comes 4. That's probably enough. If you plug in 1, out comes 12. Okay, so that's what you've got. So let's plug that in. 12, 1 is going to be somewhere like right in there. Here's 6, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2. 4, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 3, 4. What was it? If I did 2, I would pop a 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know, and then we go. So again, you've got this nice smooth curve right in here. Looks something like that. Okay, it's going to eventually hug. It's going to hug the y-axis. It's not going to ever touch it, but it's going to get closer and closer. Same thing down here. It's going to be hugging the x-axis. Then you're going to do the reflection over here. If one of these is negative, they're all going to be negative. So just change the signs of all, graph it. I'm just going to graph a couple here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. Okay, so there's 2 points. So, you know, I've done enough of these to know it's going to look something like this. Got my 2 points. You guys graph at least 3 or 4. It's okay if you get fractions and just kind of estimate where they're at. Looks just like that. Okay, this is the only one I'm going to do real quick that has a negative. Actually, we're going to lose our negative. If you divide both sides by -x, you see you're going to get y equals 5 over x. So you're just going to do the same thing. Okay, just plug in points. They all look exactly the same. They just go through a few different points. Here I did 26b, and I'm going to let you look at this real quick. Notice they already had y by itself, so I plugged in different values. Okay, when you plug in negative values, out comes positive, because a negative and a negative is going to make it positive. So it's going to be the same thing, but it's going to be reflected across the axes. So it looks just like that. So kind of study that. I mean, these are real simple. They all look just the same.